Dear viewers, now the time of nervous system of human body. Stay with us.
Welcome to our YouTube channel MedBasic21. You can subscribe, like and share. MedBasic21.
Nervous system. The system of the human body that manages the functions of various organs of the body. Coordinates among them and responds to external stimuli is called the nervous system. At the center of all the activities of the human body are the nerve fibers that maintain communication between the brain and senses. The nervous system is divided into two main parts, which are central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. Central nervous system. The central nervous system consists of the brain and the spinal cord. The brain remains protected within the cortex while the spinal cord within the backbone. Brain. It is the swollen part of the central nervous system found in the cortex, above the spinal cord. The human brain is the most important organ in the body. The brain is the regulator of the nervous system. It controls every part of the body, even human feelings and thoughts. An adult human brain weighs 1.4 kilograms. The brain has three sections, which are cerebrum, stem and cerebellum.
Figure 11.1 Cross-section of the brain. Cerebrum. The uppermost part of the brain is called the cerebrum. The right and left halves of the cerebrum are completely divided. This separation occurs because of the segregation groove between the two parts. These two parts are called cerebral hemispheres. Even though there's a gap between the right and left hemispheres of the cerebrum, they're connected by a bunch of neurons called the corpus callosum. The left cerebral hemisphere controls the right side of the body, and the right cerebral hemisphere controls the left side of the body. There are many types of grooves and folds on the cerebrum. The cerebrum controls our thinking, consciousness, cognition, memory, will, speech, and functions of the voluntary muscle. In addition, it helps to decide what kind of response to give to a stimulus. Stem. The part of the brain that is connected to the spinal cord is called the stem. Stem controls the involuntary physiologic processes of the human body, like heart rate, breathing, hunger, thirst, temperature, etc. Cerebellum. The cerebellum is located in the back of the head, between the stem and the cerebrum. It controls muscle pull, coordination, balance, and the functions of the muscles involved in running and jumping. 12 pairs of cranial nerves emerge from the brain and spread to the head, neck, face, oral cavity, tongue, eyes, nose, ears, etc. Its nerves control swallowing of food and some functions of the heart, lungs, and pharynx. In addition, these nerves are also involved in important functions such as hearing and balance. Spinal cord. The spinal cord emerges from a hole in the back of the skull and travels through the vertebral column in a protected condition to the lumbar region. 31 pairs of spinal nerves branch off from the spinal cord through the spaces between the vertebral bones. These are the nerves of the neck, throat, chest, back, hands, and feet. Figure 11.2 Human nervous system. 11.1.2 Peripheral nervous system. The 12 pairs of nerves that emerge from the brain and the 31 pairs of nerves that emerge from the spinal cord divide into very finer branches and spread throughout the body. These nerves are collectively called the peripheral nervous system. Figure 11.2. Cranial nerves that originate from the brain control the functions of organs such as the eyes, nose, ears, tongue, teeth, face, heart, and stomach. The nerves that emerge from the spinal cord control the organs and carry all sensations from the rest of the body to the brain. Peripheral nervous system can be further divided into somatic nervous system and autonomic nervous system. Somatic nervous system. The somatic nervous system is the part of the peripheral nervous system that uses muscles attached to the bones of our body to move. When we consciously move any part of our body like arms, legs, or other limbs, the somatic nervous system moves it. When we want to grab something with our hands or push something with our feet, the somatic nervous system sends the necessary signals to the muscles of the hands or feet. Autonomic nervous system. Organs over which we have no control are operated and regulated by the autonomic nervous system. The internal organs of the body, such as the heart, intestines, stomach, pancreas, etc., are operated by the autonomic nervous system. Since the brain and spinal cord do not directly influence the functionality of these systems, they operate somewhat independently and perform their tasks autonomously. The autonomic nervous system is further divided into the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. When suddenly exposed to something alarming or exciting, the sympathetic nervous system becomes active, increasing our heart rate and hardening muscles, and prepares the body to do something instantly. After the body becomes suddenly aroused, the parasympathetic nervous system works to calm the body down. Figure 11.3. Left, a neuron. Right, flow of nerve impulse. 11.1.3. Neuron. Nerve tissues are the tissues that receive all types of sensations and stimuli of the body and by transporting them create an appropriate response according to the stimulus. The unit of structure and function of the nervous system is called a neuron, figure 11.3. The nerve tissue is composed of a large number of nerve cells or neurons. Each neuron consists of two parts, the cell body and the elongated segment. Cell body. The round, star-shaped, or oval part of a neuron, consisting of a plasma membrane, cytoplasm, and nucleus, is known as the cell body. It contains numerous Nissel's granules, as well as mitochondria, Golgi apparatus, lysosomes, fat, glycogen, and pigment particles in the cytoplasm. Elongated segment. Branches extending from the cell body are called elongated segments. The elongated segments are of two types. Dendron. The small, elongated parts with branches around the cell body are called dendron. The branches emerging from the dendron are called dendrites. The number of dendrons in a neuron can range from 0 to hundreds. The dendrites of one neuron receive nerve impulses from another neuron. 2. Axon. The long fiber that originates from the cell body is called the axon. The thin covering around it is called neurolemma. Between the neurolemma and the axon is a layer of connective tissue called myelin. The end of the axon is divided into axon terminals, and through these terminals a neuron sends nerve impulses to the dendrites of another neuron. The axon terminal of one neuron is not directly connected to the dendrite of another neuron, but there is a small gap between them. This little gap is called a synapse, which is the junction between two neurons. The nerve impulse flows through the synapse from the axon terminal to the dendrite in the electrochemical process. The nerve impulse flows through one neuron, passes through the synapse, and goes to the next neuron. That is, the nerve impulse flows in one direction through the synapse. The human brain has about 100 billion neurons, and each neuron makes synapse connection with 7 to 10,000 other neurons. When someone thinks, one neuron connects to another neuron through a synapse. Therefore, if someone reads a book or solves a problem, she stimulates specific synapse connections and makes the brain more efficient. Transmission of impulse. Stimuli or impulses travel through countless interconnected nerve fibers, finally reaching the brain. Its speed is about 100 meters per second, but it may vary depending on the nerve. The signal that flows through the nerve from the environment to the brain is called nerve impulse or nerve stimulus. Due to the functioning of the neuron, this stimulus is sent to the necessary organs. When it reaches the muscle contracts and responds, causing various organs of the body to move as needed. When this impulse reaches the gland, it secretes juice. When the sensory nerve is stimulated, the impulse moves towards the brain, causing the perception of sight, hearing, touch, or pain. If you shine a torch in your friend's eye, you will see that the pupil of the eye will shrink immediately after the light is shown. When the light stimulus reaches the brain from the light-sensitive cells of the eye, the circular or round muscle of the iris contracts to shrink the pupil at the instruction of the brain. Figure 11.4. Reflex action of the human body. 11.1.4. Reflex action. Reflex action is defined as the automatic response to a sudden stimulus. When a needle suddenly pricks our finger or something hot falls on our hand, we quickly pull away our hand from the spot of stimulation. This is the result of a reflex action, figure 11.4. We cannot control reflex actions, even if we want to, because reflex actions are not controlled by the brain, but by the spinal cord. Reflex actions are those responses to stimuli that are controlled by the spinal cord, not by the brain. The reflex action of the hand pulling away immediately after the finger carelessly touches the flame of a burning candle can be explained as follows. As soon as the heat of the fire touches the finger, the sensory neuron located in the skin of the finger receives the pain stimulus. Here, the skin acts as a receptor organ. The stimulus from the skin of the finger reaches the spinal cord through the axon of the sensory neuron. The stimulus from the axon of the sensory neuron located in the spinal cord enters the dendrite of the motor neuron through the intermediate or relay neuron by the method of electrochemical process. The stimulus enters the muscle through the axon of the motor nerve. When the stimulus reaches the muscle contracts. As a result, the hand quickly moves away from the source of stimulation or the flame. 11.1.5. Physical problems related to neurological disorders. A. Paralysis. Paralysis is the loss of the ability to move a voluntary muscle of any part of the body, generally due to damage to any part of the brain. The muscles receiving sensation in that part lose functioning. Paralysis is often caused by stroke. Paralysis can also be caused by injuries or accidents to the spine or spinal cord in the neck or back. B. Epilepsy. Epilepsy is a disease of the brain in which the body of the affected person has convulsions or shaking. In many cases, due to this disease, the affected person suddenly loses activity temporarily, the body shakes and falls to the ground, and in many cases, the patient becomes unconscious. The root cause of epilepsy is still not fully identified. Epilepsy symptoms can also occur due to head injuries, meningitis, encephalitis, congenital brain malformations, tumors, etc. C. Parkinson's disease. Parkinson's disease is a condition of the brain that causes shaking in the hands and feet and makes it difficult for the patient to move and walk. This disease usually occurs after the age of 50. Nerve cells produce various types of chemicals, one of which is dopamine. Dopamine helps to move the muscles of the body. In patients with Parkinson's disease, the cells that produce dopamine in the brain are slowly destroyed. As these nerve cells cannot send signals to the muscle cells without dopamine, the muscles lose their functioning.
Thanks for watching. You can subscribe us.